You are teaming up with Medtronic to add remote monitoring technology, which would enable doctors to adjust the ventilator from outside the room and away from dangerous exposure to some of these patients. Talk to us a little bit about this technology and how quickly it's being used in 2 hospitals, as I believe at this moment, how quickly it can be scaled up.
Yeah, good afternoon, Emily, and thanks for having me. First I would just start with the pledge we made the other day, which in essence is to leverage technologies that we developed at Intel and make them rapidly accessible in a variety of different ways to help combat this pandemic that we're all collectively wrestling with. That's kind of what we set out to do, and we play such an important role in the digital infrastructure where our technologies in essence go inside everything that touches consumers' everyday lives, whether it's their PC or their phone or their hospital or their home or their car. Our technologies touch virtually everything. So as a result, with those capabilities comes a real sense of responsibility. So that was the impetus, if you will, that created this $50 million fund or commitment. The Medtronic is an example of one of the many things that we've embarked upon, and simply it was, in order to get access to ventilators, number one, and number two, to reduce exposure for healthcare providers. How do we enable the ventilator that Medtronic develops to have remote monitoring capability to reduce exposure? So we just announced, we came up with the idea with the Medtronic team just a week or so ago. We announced it today. Its capability is already on trial in 2 hospitals, and our ambitions are to dramatically ramp it up to give that remote diagnostic capability to increase capacity in the healthcare system and reduce exposure for healthcare providers. So it's an example of the many things that we're trying to do to combat this disease.
Now, Intel, I know parts of your business have been deemed an essential business, and you've said you're meeting 90% of orders. Of course, there's been a huge demand with folks working from home for new devices, cloud technology. Are you still keeping pace with that meeting of 90% of orders, and do you expect to be able to do that as this goes on for many more months?
So we've had 90% of our global capacity has been up and running kind of throughout the course of the first quarter, not just the capacity, but also the on-time delivery that our customers and our customers' customers expect from us. So our global footprint has really, despite the inherent challenges, as an essential service provider, i.e. the things that we do are critical in general for the digital economy to operate, but specifically in these particular times, the needs for schooling at home, a computer at home, and or the need to access the internet, all these things in this digital world require our technology. So it has been extremely important for our teams around the globe as an essential service to meet the needs of our customers and to meet the needs of their customers. And, to the credit of the 110,000 Intel employees around the world that I'm extremely proud of, we've been able to continue to deliver for our customers while keeping our employees safe.
Now, we're hearing that there's been a surge in laptop demand, and I wonder, is that true? Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, it is. I mean, our expectation coming into the year is relative to the first quarter of 2019, we expected demand to be relatively strong. And we saw that demand pick up during the course of the quarter, and it kind of followed almost the rate of progression of Covid-19 around the world, where things were slow initially, but they picked up in Europe, and then they gradually picked up here in the U.S. And it's somewhat logical and intuitive. When our lives are disrupted and we need to do more and more things from our home, we need to ensure that we have the technology at our disposal so things can go on as normal as possible. So what that has meant is demand for more and more devices, including PCs, to be available for parents to continue to conduct their work, and increasingly for kids to continue their education in so many ways. So we've seen demand kind of relatively strong during the course of the first quarter.
Other companies have indicated that cloud service providers have been ordering heavily to meet increased demand for online services. Is that something that you're seeing as well?
Yes, it is. I mean, I think we're a very diverse business, and I think you highlighted two of the particular stronger areas: the need for PCs to work from home and to be educated from home, and also the needs to be connected. And the needs to be connected, including your prior guest, those capabilities are powered by Intel's technology. So as the demand to be connected goes up, all else equal, the demand of the hyperscalers to need Intel's technologies to power their capabilities goes up with that.
Intel is part of this huge global supply chain, and I'm wondering if you can give us some color on what you're seeing. How badly was the supply chain hurt during the China part of the crisis, and what are you preparing for in terms of supply chain disruption as the outbreak continues to spread in Europe, in the U.S., possibly India, and possibly there could be a resurgence in Asia as well?
Well, I think I'll give you some general observations, but I think a little more specifically for us. Yes, in fact, we have a very large global supply chain, as do the customers that we serve. So back in January, in some ways, when supply chains were disrupted because access to some components coming out of China in particular was somewhat constrained, we weren't as affected as a company because, as I indicated earlier, our outlook for the first quarter when we provided our guidance back in January is relatively strong. So in so many ways, our employees were working through the Chinese holidays. And as a result, they didn't leave to go back home. So they worked right through the holidays. So we were able to keep capacity up and running essentially throughout the challenges as they kind of went around the globe. The challenge since then has been to work extremely proactively with governments, states and governments, to ensure that the definition of essential services is well understood so we could keep our operations going, but also to be extremely cautious in ensuring that our number one goal through this from the beginning is the safety and the well-being of our employees. So rapidly deploying the best practices, if you will, on social distancing, constant cleaning, limit the number of essential people required to be at the office. So when we're building these products and keeping the global supply chain going, it is first and foremost ensuring that we're looking out for the safety of our employees. And our expectation is that's going to continue for a while, and our priorities will really remain the same: employee welfare, delivering for our customers, and ensuring we're leveraging our technologies to give back to the communities that we operate in so that we can get through this pandemic.
The markets have been extremely volatile. We're in the midst of a recession. I just talked about Yelp laying off 1,000 people, Eventbrite cutting 45% of this workforce. Nobody knows exactly how long this is going to last, how long we're going to be dealing with this, but you must have some sort of operating assumption. What do you believe the economy looks like coming out of this, and how hard does this hit the tech economy as well?
Yeah, it's very hard to say. I think right now, as I indicated, we have a very large and diverse set of technologies and capabilities. And in some cases, demand is softer. In other cases, demand is much stronger. So I think for us right now, it's really focused on keeping the global supply chain going and meeting the demand that we're feeling from our customers, but also as we do that, to be able to step back and get a sense as to, what is the second half, what is the second quarter, what does the second half look like for a diverse company like ours? Will the positive signs offset the more challenging signs? And until it gets clear, deliver for our customers while also do some contingency planning as we get more clear signals about what the second quarter and the second half outlooks will really be like for us.
So just quickly, some CEOs are telling us they're prepared for their employees to work from home for 6 months. I mean, do you think it could be another 6 months quickly?
Yeah, I think we have to plan for all sorts of a range of scenarios, and whether it's 6 weeks or 6 months. I think the implications are the demand for essential services as our normal way of doing things are disrupted. The need for our technologies will grow and grow, and therefore, whether it's 6 days or 6 weeks or 6 months, it's critical for us that we're there for our customers, for our employees, and for our communities.